Well, the entirety of last week's episode all built up to this one. It is One Punch Man episode 17, part of season 2 of One Punch Man, as we get the Metal Bat versus Garo fight finally in the One Punch Man anime. Now, I have not read the manga up until this point, but I was told by a bunch of my friends before this episode aired that it's going to be one for the ages if they're able to capture the fight right. So I'm just letting you know that, before we get any further into this episode, I haven't read the manga counterpart to this yet. I heard it was very, very good, and I heard that it's going to be a highlight of One Punch Man Season 2, but I haven't actually seen it from my own eyes, so I can't really compare the manga to the anime version, but I can tell you that from what I saw of One Punch Man Episode 17, it was, to me, well done. I enjoyed the Garo versus Metal Bat fight here in this episode. Really, the way this episode was structured is it was two different stories, but then close to the end, things got really, really confusing for me. The first act pretty much closes the book on the entire monster attack saga of the city that we saw in the last episode, because more monsters show up, a bunch of pandemonium happens. Then the second act focuses on the tournament more, but then at the end of that, more pandemonium happens. So Metal Bat versus Garo is pretty much the main event of this episode, the most promoted portion of this episode. When we last left off, they were about to confront each other into a fight, and that dragon level centipede thing is still all over the city, and we have a scene with the association discussing what to do, trying to get more heroes out there to help. So Metal Knight then shows up, and he has one of the coolest entrances I've ever seen, ever. This dude is like a big mech with missiles and rockets, and he just shows up and he starts to cut into that centipede. Doesn't really do any damage or anything, but this was a really awesome looking scene. I mean, great visuals, great animation, and looked beautiful. More monsters show up, because now it's definitely pandemonium, and they're referred to as demon level monsters. They're everywhere, like all over the city, and things look very, very dire. Now, while this is all going on, Garo and Metal Bat are fighting, and it's a bloody affair. I mean, this is a very violent fight, very bloody. And the issue here that Garo recognizes is that Metal Bat is not at 100%. He's heavily injured, but he's still standing. And they talk about the whole, fighting spirit and whatnot, which is a big thing for the Japanese and a big thing for Shonen. And, Metal Bat looks amazing. And good Lord, this looked great. It was probably my favorite animation cuts of One Punch Man Season 2 so far. It's just, there's a scene where, like, Metal Bat is swinging his bat at Garo, and Garo's just barely dodging it, but it's like super colorful, like hand-to-hand versus weapons combat. Just really well done. I enjoyed it quite a bit. It was very entertaining. Garo then notices that as he's fighting Metal Bat, that Metal Bat's getting stronger with every hit. Metal Bat shows he's got some big balls here, no pun intended, as he goes after Garo while being barely able to stand. He uses, they have a scene where Garo uses manholes, like the sewer covers, as hockey pucks and like flings them at Metal Bat, who uses his bat to bat them away, and then uses the bat to block Garo's hits. So, again, I haven't read the manga version. I can't really judge which one's better, but I really love this so much. So, Garo does the fighting spirit brutal tornado, and it was done so slick in the way that they had like the animation panels coming in. Like, God, it was so well directed. Hits Metal Bat in the gut, and tons of blood comes out of his mouth, and he's pretty much out. Now, Garo was able to defeat Metal Bat, but the fight took its toll on him. Garo is visibly stunned here because of how, he was challenged here big time. He turns and there's a bat right in front of his face. Metal Bat's still not done yet, but then he gets distracted by his sister, whom he uses as a shield, which is kind of cowardly. But Garo agrees and then walks away and allows him to live, which was a very unexpected decision. I'm guessing that the Garo thing with the sister, or with Metal Bat's sister, kind of affected him. And while this is going on, we find out that there's monsters who are watching the fight, who are watching how impressive Garo was, and they actually beckon to him. They start to formulate a plan where they want to use him. And Garo knows they were watching, and he's given a card from the Monsters Association, which is the hideout, the lair, I guess, where the monsters are from. And Garo pretty much rips it up, and the monsters think that they can probably do something with him, and they strategically pull out. So even Metal Knight failed to win. So pretty much all the villains, all the monsters just evacuated and left. And I'm guessing the story here is that the monsters think they will eventually figure out a way to convince Garo to kill off more heroes, because he looks to be on the way to doing that now. But for some reason, he didn't take the offer, and hey, good for him. So that ends the first half of the episode. Second half of the episode introduces the 8 tournament fighters, including Charanko, who is Saitama. They introduce Bakuzan, who's never lost apparently. And there's some trash talk going on in the locker room. Pretty minor build-up here. Then the episode kind of gets really weird when it comes to cutting away from things, to where I actually got kind of lost. So Master Bang was supposed to be involved, but he canceled. Saitama doesn't even care. They cut to a scene with Master Bang, some trouble being caused or whatever. Master Bang just mangles this dude on the streets. And then they have a little bit of the first round fight between Max and Ring Ring. And Ring Ring shows this really cool, impressive kick. But Max ends up winning, and we didn't even see the fight on screen. It was off screen, so that sucked. Here's where I got confused. A bunch of stuff happened. A bunch of different things happened in different parts of the city. And the cuts were so bad. This is actually, to me, bad directing, if you ask me. Bad editing, because the cuts on this part of the episode, it's like they were trying to tell 4 or 5 different stories at once, but it was so rapid and so fast that I lost track of what was going on. I literally lost track, and I had to rewind to figure out some of this stuff, and I still don't really get it. As far as the Blizzard Squad and that whole thing, I don't really know what was going on there, but it's just... this is very bad directing. If you're watching this could take you out of the episode because it leaves you confused. But basically, the way I understood it is there's attacks going on everywhere, and they're not done yet. Even though some of the monsters retreated, they're not done yet. And at this point, it looks like the cliffhanger. At this point, it looks like that's going to be the cliffhanger. Plus, we're going to have Zakos versus Charanko, which is Saitama. Zakos is the guy who was talking trash to him earlier in the episode. So that's your cliffhanger for the next episode, where the tournament continues. And I guess there's still going to be chaos in the city. So lots of things going on at once here. A little bit hard to keep track of, which I think is a detriment to the episode. Overall, the first half of this episode was amazing. Second half was pretty much skippable, to be honest with you. Not entirely, but it's so disjointed that I feel like that for the next episode, I'm hoping that they got everything together, and that's a much easier narrative to follow, because the first half of this episode was perfect. Second half was not that good. What do you think? Let me know in the comments about One Punch Man episode 17, season 2, episode 5, and let's see where it goes, because I'm still invested in Garo and what they do with that character. Thanks for watching, and I'll see y'all in the next one.